couple of comments. Ken says 100% Luke. So going back to reflect on his story, had a tough couple of weeks where probably overexerted himself in the workplace, and then get to a point where now he's, calmed things down, taking a little bit of a break and get himself back to his normal way, and have some more awareness if he is, overdoing it for himself, which is really powerful. Sean Hayes comes on and says, "G'day, sport fans." So does Ken as well. Sean, being a Roosters fan, his team lost. My team lost Parramatta this weekend, so we're both out. But Ken Murray, being a South Sydney supporter, he's absolutely loving this at the moment. Christine says, really interesting, this one. Kids today are far more advanced on life than our generation when we were at their age. Kind of interesting to that. I think that there's more information out there as being, but whether actually people take that on or not. Some families will talk about what's my favorite thing of the day, or, what did I do well today? What could I have done differently? Some of these questions do come up, but some then don't have that situation. So it is about maybe the kids and the parents and, what's taught at school, and maybe more advanced teaching methods that are out there, Tony, but some, I guess, are not as well. I don't know what your feedback to Christine's comments are.
Well, this whole session this morning is about knowing and not doing. So what? My feedback respectfully is, so what, in the sense of, yes, there is an enormous amount of knowledge out there. There's this amazing website I tell people all the time. Grab your pens. It's called google.com. Amazing. Got everything that you ever want to know is on that particular website. But that's the knowledge component. So, yes, I agree, Christine, I agree. There's more information than we've ever had, and it's so much easier to get. I remember, my kids were asking me the other day, how did I do research for my when I was at university? Well, I went to this thing called the library. I went and found this thing called the microfiche, and I pushed, and that's what I did, right? And so that's what we all had to do, and they just thought it was hilarious, right? Because they just go into Google, and there it all is, and away you go. But it's the doing. That's the bit that we haven't got that sorted, I can tell you, right? So whilst our knowledge might be improving in the sense, our accessibility to knowledge is improving. I'm not going to say our knowledge is improving because that's such a general statement, but it's then the doing with the knowledge that we've got, which is the whole purpose of this morning.
As much knowledge these days because we got Google at our fingertips, right? It's almost like that. So this is why we actually talk about EQ, our emotional intelligence factor is going to be so much more important. And I know Gary Vee highlights this on an ongoing basis, that's going to be the skill set of the future because we've got the Googles on our phones, on our laptops, on our desktops, and it's available everywhere. So this is why we are on this point, Tony, about mindset and about our own emotional intelligence. If we can work out for ourselves to be a better person for ourselves personally, and then for the greater community, then we are going to be in a better position when the issues do come up, how we do respond in these sort of situations. And if we know and it's in our awareness, we're actually doing, like you said.
Yeah, that's one element. The other, so the EQ, absolutely critical. The soft skills are very, very important moving forward. But the other skill is around resourcefulness. So just because there's information available doesn't mean that we're all tapping into it. And I had this conversation with someone else this week, and they were saying, well, I didn't do that because I didn't know. And it's like, my gosh, figure it out, right? Resourcefulness is, where do I go? Who has the answer for me?
But they're not knowing because they don't do it, right? That's where I go, just like, is it a knowledge-based thing or is it just a purely doing-based thing?
But you just said, and I agree, you can find out whatever it is that you truly want, honestly, get into Google, type it in, and it appears, right? And so it's there. It's available for those who go and seek it out. So it's the resourcefulness to seek it out. But it's not only the resourcefulness to seek it out, it's the resourcefulness then to sit there and trawl through all the information that comes up to pull out the bits of information that are relevant to what they're trying to do. This stuff takes time and effort. So that's the bit that, yes, I accept that our accessibility to knowledge has gone through the roof, but the same age-old problems still exist today, and they will exist in 100 years from now. I'll be long gone, 200 years, whatever it is. It's the inability to move beyond our fears. That still is going to exist today in the future.
Sean's comment says, our morning coffee, his morning coffee with his partner says, what needs to be done first? What's scheduled? and then what else can we make fit in? Always
I love it.
amaze ourselves at what we get done to move forward each day, which is awesome. Kristen said, totally agree with you, Tony. Not with me, just with you, Tony.
Yeah, no different to the last 69 episodes. No, I'm only joking. No. Look,
we're up to point number 2 after 28 minutes on track.
We'll see, but here's the thing. So you said early on that we were getting into point number 1 early, but that's not always a guarantee of success, right? We can hand off, as you know, into a gazillion and one tangents.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what, like, you know, I think the stories have been so powerful today, Tony. You brought up a couple of your clients. We brought up our own personal situations as well. I know that it happens on an ongoing basis with people in property, having an awareness that they really want to do something, but they just hold back. And this is our second point, really. What is really holding you back from doing these things? What are those fears?
Yeah.
And the biggest... you know, that's the ideas around it. Okay, you might get an awareness about something, or you might see someone else do something and you might like get a little bit jealous or kind of get a little bit motivated by what they're doing, but it's maybe not pure to you. And then you actually then think about, are you being held back? Do you have some fear?
So the formula for change, for improvement, for progress is awareness plus action equals change. That's the formula. So I'm giving it here to everybody. So the first thing is, which was question number 1, we want to be aware, because if you're not aware, most of the actions that we do, we're not aware. So a lot of the things that we do, we're on our autopilot, same as we did yesterday, the day before, and that is our thought process. So you get aware with it. Then when you're aware, that still doesn't guarantee success, because you can be aware of something and go, yeah, I won't worry about that, right? Whereas it's awareness plus action equals change. Luke, in regards to fear, the single biggest fear that we have, we talk about this plenty of times in the last 69 episodes, is the fear of being criticised by other people, the fear of judgment. The fear of absolutely being shit scared of what someone else is going to say, think, or do about the thing that you're doing. Because we're a herd mentality. As humans, we like to be in the collective herd, and it's the old safety in numbers. And so I want to stick with the herd and feel safe. And if I start to go outside of the herd, then I start to feel a bit bad that I'm leaving the herd. Also, the herd's going to try and pull me back in and not let me get out. And again, that could be a reflection of the insecurities of that individual. So the fear of being criticised by others is the mother of all fears.
You can even get, it's kind of interesting, even the judgment side of things. Thinking about even my running that I do each and every day, thinking about what kind of judgments people have, whether that's positive or negative around it, and probably tend to be a positive judgments that come through on it. But how, you know, what am I thinking about that, and how am I feeling about those judgments? So it can come in successful situations, and it can come in, you know, negative situations as well. So it's something that I kind of reflect on at different times for myself. And I think if we can reflect on these different things and how we're responding to those sort of situations, we might be wearing a bit of a crazy t-shirt or wearing our own branded t-shirts or whatever. And someone might say something or do something about it. How do we respond on these things? What kind of, and does that then hold us back from other things that we want to do? Will it stop me from running, you know, next week? And there's some people like, well, why don't you stop running? What do you have to do the running? Is it something that you have to do as something that you're kind of forcing yourself through the run? And it does make me reflect on what's going on in that regards, and just makes me think, okay, you know, I actually want it to be part of me, and that's what is instilled within me. It's not a case of, well, I have to run, but I really, really want to run.
Yeah, but it's also an insecurity from someone else being pushed onto you. Right, and it's like that they'll be saying, well, why is this guy, he's run 1,000 times in a row, what's he trying to prove, why would he do it, he's a fit looking dude, you know, why doesn't he do something totally different, right? And so that's their viewpoint, their perspective being pushed onto you. This is where it comes down to what is most important to us. So the question we always ask is, you know, why do you want to do this thing? Why do you want to do running? Why do you want to do property investing? Why do you want to do small business? Why do you want to be an employer or have an ice cream van? Or it doesn't really matter. Why? What's the reason that you're doing that? Because you want to have an internal connection that's going to pull you forward. That's the first thing. right? But there's always going to be differing viewpoints. Take, for example, the politicians, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, we've got Queensland's having an election or US is having an election. There's a red team and a blue team. Someone on the red team says something and everyone on the blue team will disagree. And then someone on the blue team will say that and everyone on the red team will do. It doesn't matter. Whatever you do, you go and wear a Search Party Property shirt. Some people say, hey, that's awesome, Luke. I think it's really cool you're out there wearing your brand. Other people say, man, you're a wanker, you're a dickhead. What are you doing that for? It's everything we do, right, is open to that. But here's the thing, right? So you and I, we put ourselves out there all the time. We are open for people to criticise. There'll be people who are sitting here today, maybe not typing anything in. They're sitting there watching going, God, these two blokes are pretty random on a Sunday, and why would I waste my time listening to them? Cool.
Why would I want to be in bed with Tony and Luke?
Well, that's look. Well, I tell you what, it's an amazing place to be. But so there'll be people who sit there thinking that, right? And everything that you do, there's always a positive and a negative consequence from that, and that's the reality of life. But here's the thing: you and I, and I'll just take for example these videoing. We have got out of our way a very, very long time ago to get out here and share our viewpoints. It doesn't mean that everyone needs to agree with everything that we say, and in fact, we welcome the conversation, but we put ourselves out here and we're open for people to potentially either praise us and applaud us and congratulate us or bring us down. But a lot of people...
We love criticism. We want the we want the feedback. So bring it on.
Well, it's fuel. It's fuel, right? So feedback is fuel. So how do I get better? How do you get better? You get better. You don't get better by people saying, "Hey, you're awesome." You get better because people say, "Hey, cool, that was good." But hey, listen, had you thought about blah, 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 blah? Oh, no, I hadn't. Great feedback. Thank you so much. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but you certainly want to listen to it, right? You don't have to agree with everyone else's opinions. My golly, you go round and round and round in circles.
So maybe this is the question for everyone that's listening right now. What does Tony and I have done well today in this video, and what could we do differently in this video? So you might, we'll leave it up for the audience to decide. Sean says, until the beginning of this year, we always seem to be the black sheep. Now we feel part of the herd of the black sheep. That's it. I like that. It's kind of thinking about, as a property investor, there's only about 20,000 people in Australia have 6 or more investment properties. So that's less than 1%. So that's kind of like a black sheep, or the top 1%, right? So that's a factor that I guess Sean's bringing in towards what he's doing, which is awesome. And
so a different way to describe that is start your own herd. So that is that there's the herd where the majority of people are, but go and start your own herd. Go and create an environment of like-minded people. People are going to support you, challenge you, collaborate with you, work with you, lift you up. Rising tide lifts all boats. So find the new herd, and if there isn't one, start your own herd. And that's a little bit of what we're doing here, mate, to be brutally honest. Not whilst we never sat there on episode number 1 and said, let's go and create our own herd, but that's what's happened as a result of doing this consistently and persistently, is that we have the regular people who I've not even met 90% of the people who come on here, but yet it's wonderful that they come on each and every Sunday and they're here to contribute, learn, etc. And that's our little version of creating our own herd of like-minded people.